So I've gone and bought a Parfums vintage fragrance. Why? I'm not even an Aventus fan. So I've gone and bought a Parfums vintage fragrance. I don't know why. I don't know what I was thinking. If you follow this channel, you'll know that I'm not a big Aventus fan. I'm not an Aventus enthusiast, connoisseur in the slightest. So anything that I say in this video, take relative with a pinch of salt. There's going to be like experts out there that are looking for this finer, minute detail on comparison of batches and all that shit. And that's not me, mate. So you come to the wrong place if you're expecting that. So don't switch off now if that's your thing. But anyway, I don't know why. So I respect Aventus. It's obviously an absolutely solid fragrance and it is good. I'm not saying it's not a good fragrance, but it's just not this kind of the king, this hype beast that I was expecting. The first time I smelt it was after I saw all the hype, and it was just a big letdown for me. It was the biggest anticlimax I've had since an ex-girlfriend wanted to try anal. I mean, I couldn't sit down for a week. So I've got a Parfums vintage fragrance. I don't really know why. I guess I've always been sort of curious just to try them, really. I'm never going to own Aventus. I have no intentions or desire to, but part of me kind of wants to have it in my collection just to say that so I've got it as an option. It's in the arsenal, and potentially Parfums vintage is the closest you're going to get, and then you've got the option of tweaking it a little bit. Do you get something that's a bit more fruity, a bit more smoky, a bit more kind of sort of vanilla-y? You've got the options there. I don't know. So I've always been curious. And then there was a conversation in a Facebook group that I stumbled across recently, and somebody said that Pineapple Vintage Intense Gold is the best kind of one that they do. And I sort of saw that and I was like, okay, so why that one? And they were saying, well, it's just like a fresher, fruitier version without the sort of smoky birchiness. So it's almost like a more simpler kind of version. They sort of described it as almost like what Aventus cologne you might think Aventus cologne might be like. So they didn't say it's like Aventus cologne, but if you were imagining Aventus in a sort of lighter cologne, fresher version, that's what Gold Intense would be, or Intense Gold, sorry. So that kind of piqued my interest because I was like, okay, that sounds a bit like me, because I don't like the smokier, birchier elements of Aventus. So I thought, okay, this could be the one for me. Let's take a punt. So it arrived, and I can confirm it smells like Aventus. Bosh, job done. I suppose you might want a little bit more than that. Yes, it obviously smells like Aventus. What else was I going to say in that regard? Don't worry about that. It's very comparable. As I said earlier, I'm not a connoisseur, so I'm not going to break it down and discuss each element. But what I will say is this is kind of what I was looking for, in the sense that this is not particularly smoky or birchy at all. In fact, I don't really get much smoke, hardly at all. So in that regard, I was really pleased, because that's kind of what I wanted. I must admit though, I've only smelt more recent batches of Aventus because, as I say, I'm not a connoisseur, I'm not a historian. So, which by all accounts, the newer batches are kind of fruitier and less smoky, or etc. Anyway, but this is what I was looking for in that regard. It is very fresh, it's very fruity at the top, it's very pineapple-y, not surprising with those kind of, I think there's other kind of fruits in there. So it's very fruity and fresh at the top, and then it dries down, and as I say, it's not particularly kind of birchy or smoky at all. It's just very clean and fresh and easy to wear and versatile. So yeah, it's kind of like job done. Like, I think I've nailed it from the sort of Parfums vintage, in the sense that this is probably the best version for a basic bitch like me. Performance is good. It's very noticeable. It projects really well, particularly in the first hour, 1 to 2 hours. What I will say is I do kind of go a little bit anosmic to this, which by all accounts is a bit of a thing. I've seen people discuss this. I've seen other videos where they say that apparently Intense Gold is meant to help reduce that element of anosmia to it, because Intense, a lot of people said that they struggle to smell Intense on themselves, yet other people could, so it was still there, but they went nose blind to it. And apparently Intense Gold was meant to kind of help that a little bit more, but I did kind of go anosmic to this. At one point, a few hours in, I sort of said to the wife, "Can you smell it on me?" And she had to come in to smell it. She kind of smelt it and she smelt my neck and she said, "Yeah, I can smell it." But it wasn't like still projecting. It wasn't beastly at that point. So it's not this beast room filler that I was potentially expecting, if I'm honest. But it is there, and I suspect it does perform better than you think. I think it kind of does stay on skin and stay on clothes for a while, but it's not this kind of beastly projector that's going to go, you know, feet that you're going to walk in a room and people are going to smell like kind of Sauvage EDT. That's what I was kind of expecting from this sort of performance, but it's not. So in that regard, I was a little bit disappointed, I guess. But as I say, it does technically last. I got kind of 1 to 2 hours of reasonable, 1 hour of good projection, another hour of like reasonable projection, then it lasts. It probably does. It's probably good for 6-7 hours or whatever, but it's just, I thought it was just going to be a bit more dominant and noticeable, where it wasn't. My little boy actually had a spray of this once, and I could kind of smell it on him. But yeah, I did sort of, I don't know if I just kind of went a bit nose blind to it, but in the afternoon I did sort of top up a couple of times just so it was a bit more noticeable, just to kind of make myself a little bit more satisfied that it was there and I could smell it, really. So would I recommend this fragrance? Yes, I would. If you want an Aventus inspiration and you are like me, you're a bit more of a basic bitch, that you're not necessarily into the real sort of complicated sort of elements of Aventus and all the birch, the smoke, the ambergris, sort of the hint of vanilla, and then the fruit. If you kind of want more of a simpler kind of version, but that's still very much close to the original, that just, as I say, it's kind of like a fruitier, fresh version that is very clean, very versatile, that's not smoky, then yes, I would totally recommend Intense Gold. But here's the thing. If I only owned this, I'd keep it, and this would be my Aventus inspiration. I'd be happy with it, I'd wear it. What I will say is the wife doesn't love this. She's not a huge fan. It didn't blow away. Didn't drop her panties, to be honest, but there we go. So yeah, if I owned only this as my Aventus DNA inspired fragrance, I'd be happy and I'd like it, and yeah, job done. But I wore Mont Blanc Explorer like the day after wearing this, and I enjoyed it more. I think I prefer the bergamot to the sort of pineapple, and it's just a bit more digestible and a bit cleaner and a bit more even. So as I said earlier, this is kind of, if you're a bit more like you want a simpler version of Aventus, this is good. Where like Explorer kind of almost takes it to the next level, where it really makes it like a designer, like a basic bitch fragrance like me, the ones that I want. It makes it just very digestible, very palatable, very mass appealing, and very easy to wear. And it's just that little bit kind of cleaner for me. So personally, I prefer Mont Blanc Explorer, and it's like half the price of this. So in that regard, why keep this? So there you go, that's my take on Intense Gold. Hella good fragrance, very solid, obviously super versatile. It could be the only fragrance you're ever going to need, obviously, because it's Aventus. But is it the best Aventus fragrance for you? It's for you to decide. I don't think it is for me, anyway. I was a little bit tempted to try Vanilla Intense, because I do like vanilla in my fragrances, but from a few of the reviews I've read, the vanilla is only more noticeable in the opening, and once it dries down, they're very similar, so I don't think I'm going to bother. Anyway, thank you for watching. I do really appreciate it, as always. Like, comment, subscribe, all that shit, you know the score, and I will see you for the next video soon. Take care, much love.